Yay! It's up for Peter. Peter's not gonna clap. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of GeeksOn Reboots. Is that what it is? Is it officially a reboot or not?
It's been long enough. I think it is.
It is.
I think if it's a reboot, then one of us has to be murdered in the first episode, and like the hot woman comes in.
See, it's Aaron going out now. It's Aaron or Peter.
Yeah.
Used to be you or me, Don. We were going to be out in the first episode, but now it's just completely flipped.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's them.
The white dudes are expendable.
White
Sorry,
dudes
guys.
are
Yes, we are.
Now. So we're gonna try a video podcast.
Yeah.
And
How many of our listeners have no idea what we look like?
No idea.
most of them.
You think so? They're
Yeah.
going to be like, wait, what? That's
Well,
what
not only
Matt
that,
looks
but
like?
how many listeners do we even have anymore?
When was
So-
our last episode? For those of you coming to join us for the very first time,
Had to be
GeeksOn was first launched. It was 2003.
Three, yeah. Well, whatever.
2003.
We were the third podcast on iTunes, so
Yeah.
That's right. We are the grandpappy of the infestation of
The
podcasts that you are
old
now dodging.
Grandpappy of podcasts back in the day. I remember Adam Curry had a podcast, and he was on the MTV.
Our GeeksOn was so old that when we asked people to listen to our podcast, it wasn't an onerous ask.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
Well, no, you would get the what?
You're
What is that? What is that?
What do you?
Well, remember, it was before iTunes had podcasts on there. You couldn't get it through iTunes. So
Yeah.
you had to do the RSS feed through your RSS feed reader, podcast catcher. Podcast Alley was the only thing on the internet that I knew of that you could list your podcast.
Oh, right.
So
We
it
used
was
to get into Comic-Con for free. Podcast.
They're
Exactly.
media. They're on media. So why
Yeah.
not?
we were press, and
That's
now
right. we were pressed.
and Comic-Con's gone this year, right? Done
Yeah, it's canceled.
completely,
They should do
completely
that
off the
virtual
board.
Comic-Con.
It's interesting. So, for those of you in the future looking back in time at this special reboot first episode of GeeksOn, we are recording this during the pandemic of COVID-19.
Yes,
Right.
we are.
So the
2020.
reason why we are not actually in the same room with each other is because this is the only way we can do this.
Yeah, that's true.
We are
Yeah.
hiding in our apartments.
We are hiding in our places of getting away from the children, even though
Yes.
they
It's been,
still
like-
exist in my universe.
It's been like 2 months since I've seen Aaron. I saw Aaron the night before the quarantine began.
Yeah.
Oh, did you? When was that?
I saw you about a month before that, Matt, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Peter, it's been about a year since I've seen.
Oh yeah.
I live on the other side of eternity, and
Yes.
they live on the other side of eternity.
Which
Yeah.
means the other side of the hills to those.
In
people.
exactly
Yes.
in Los Angeles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
In Los Angeles, anytime when you have to get on traffic,
And-
go through traffic, that's eternity.
And other than that, it's been ages since we just talked. I mean, it's literally like, we got
Well,
busy.
I mean, life exploded for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
You
true.
know?
So
That's true.
this is going to be a catch-up episode. This
For
won't
sure.
be normal. We will actually get into it quicker, but we haven't. We have a lot of geek stuff that we haven't talked about since we haven't had a podcast.
Yeah, I mean, what do we even talk about? I mean, I just took my kids through the entirety of the MCU.
I took
And-
my kids
Now,
through Harry
the
Potter.
entirety.
Oh,
Nice. Aren't they young for the end of that though?
yeah.
Well,
that's a
we're
little
not
dark.
we're not to the end, and I got to
Okay.
tell you, my 9-year-old daughter is terrified and runs out of the room, and my 5-year-old daughter loves it. she's like, wow, like nothing scares her. She's fearless. So, and I'm a terrible parent because I let her watch it.
Yeah. Let me tell you, my favorite thing, we watched the MCU. So we've been for almost a year now, just been like one filming it on a special family night. And we get out the popcorn, we do the whole thing. And, they've gone out and they've seen things outside of the order, but we've brought everything back into the order over this last year. And So when we finally got around to Thanos, sorry, spoilers, everyone.
Red alert. Red alert. Red alert.
To Thanos snapping and like half of the MCU gone, my kids were not okay. They were not okay. Like shuffling off to bed that night, they were like, wait a second. Evil wins? Like how does this fly? And they had, I mean, because we knew we weren't going to watch another movie for probably a week, maybe two. They were just like, they were walking around just in the doldrums for a week. And then the next week, when they finally saw the final episode, and Sam comes out and goes, on your left, and all the circles start opening up everywhere. My kids were on their feet, and all three of them, like, they did not plan this. All three of them stood up, and they go, Wakanda forever! And I went, oh my good kid.
Did you skip Ant-Man?
No. Ant-Man is one of the favorites. Ant-Man's absolutely one.
Well, but Ant-Man 2 is between. They should have had to wait 2 movie nights in order.
They did. They did it. They had to go through Ant-Man 2, and that was hard because they went, wait a second. You know, my daughters were both like, she grew up without a dad, and I was like, oh my god, right? Like not the dad's perspective, the kid. Oh, it's weird. It's weird.
My kids watched Ready Player One tonight.
Did they get it?
Would that mean anything to a kid?
Yeah.
It's not in the same way, but they loved it. But I forgot about the scary section with the zombies and
the weird.
Section.
Yeah, no, it's
yeah.
It's
so
so
the Shining
set. Yeah.
I forgot about that, and I walked in at the end of that, and like I'm like, oh my god, is this? And my kids are totally fine. They're like, this is great.
The Shining. Yeah. Years from now, they're gonna watch The Shining and be like, oh, this is like, oh. No. It's like they're gonna be completely not prepared. That was one of those movies that I didn't get into. Like that. I mean,
Ready Player One.
Yeah.
I wanted to like it so much.
I didn't like it that much either, but I like it for my kids. Like
I described it as the movie is like the Disney ride of the book. It's like not the stuff in it, but it's like the ride version, not the book version.
Yeah, it's
weird.
Bright, it's colorful, it's fun to watch, and completely devoid of character or character arc or anything internal. It's all just shiny.
And I couldn't figure out how I would, because it was written by the author, right? Like the screenplay was written by the author.
Or was
it? And I couldn't figure out like what would I have done, because it is so cerebral. Like a lot of the book is like, oh, it's the 5th page of Zork. So I get it. I get why the choices that they made, but I was sitting there going, what would I have done to make this a lot more active than it was? Because it didn't feel like the book. It didn't, because I read the book and then I immediately read the book again because it was like somebody wrote a book for me, and then I was like, all right,
I think some of that was Spielberg though, because I think you go back and you watch a lot of his original stuff and it was very raw and visceral and emotional, and you know, now his new stuff is so polished, and I mean, it's like, think about, like, did you see E.T. and then the remake of E.T. where they did the special effects?
Yeah, it took out the guns.
Replace the walkie-talkies with the guns.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's weird because, you know, the original's better.
Oh yeah, by far.
The one with all the special effects doesn't have the same emotion somehow, right? And doesn't look as real and as true. And that's what's going on here. Is it's the same thing kind of happened with Lucas. You know, as Star Wars went on, you know, the effects looked better, but they didn't look better.
Right. Well, Lucas also didn't. What? Go ahead.
We have not talked as a whole about the Star Wars final trilogy.
Do we have to? I mean, it is Geeks Other World, Geeks on Other World, so I suppose.
Okay, well, I'm willing to take the opposite position because I like the first two.
No!
I did. I did.
Don, I don't know you anymore.
But there are reasons. The first one was supposed to be the thing that helped the new generation reconnect with the series in a way that the old generation did.
Right. The first one was fine.
I mean, come on, it was New Hope all over again.
It was New Hope all over again.
Yeah,
It wasn't an original.
but it was done in a way that people who'd seen it before could sit through it and enjoy, and then
Sure.
people had not connected. Like, come on, how many of you sat down with your kids and tried to get them to watch New Hope? The pacing does not connect with the newer generation.
I get
Well,
it.
no,
It's too
It was
slow.
safe.
my kids love the crap out of it, but I mean, I also raised them on Super Friends.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
they have a different cultural touchstone than a lot
yeah,
of
yeah. I mean,
audience.
there's a thing where I've been specific in choosing stuff for my children that is slow cutting, because the just mad frenetic, I believe it leads to a shortened attention span. And so I'm very specific about going, hey guys, let's watch something that has a decent set of cuts.
And I agree with you completely, but we don't live in a vacuum. The world
100%.
consists of people that have this faster attention
I get
span.
it.
And so this was a bridge, and I accept that. That's fine. And I still enjoyed it. The second one I enjoyed for the message of you can be special. You do not have to inherit your greatness. Like, anyone can rise to become something wonderful.
Yeah, but he just shit on the franchise because he finished that movie. That movie was done. The franchise was over.
Right.
Like,
The second movie literally ends the story.
yeah.
I don't feel that
The end
way.
is like, it doesn't take a Skywalker.
It doesn't take a Skywalker. The kid gets the power ring. I mean, we got Wheaties box stuff for the Wheaties box. We're all good to go.
The problem with that is that this is a 9-part story about the Skywalkers. What did the last 3 movies have anything to do with the Skywalkers?
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, it did, because the third movie, which I hated, did that hard left turn back into, here's what you fanboys were complaining about. Here you go.
Well, because they had
what else could he have done?
Tie it in. They had to tie it into the Anakin saga. I mean, Rogue One isn't part of the saga. Okay, we were fine to having a different story. So this is not a secondary movie. This is part of the 9-part trilogy. So they had to take the hard left.
Now, this is an interesting point, because, like, for me, I completely 100% disagree with you. All of these people are operating because of the inheritance they have of these prior characters spiritually, right? Bloodline doesn't mean shit. It is their inheritance of their legend, the stories, the thing they set up, and these people continue in them. Speaking as someone who's adopted, that's 100% resonant for me.
Sure.
Well, I could
say that all this stuff only matters if there's a bloodline.
No. Look.
No.
We had a betrayal. Go ahead.
You can take that same point and still it being part of the Skywalker saga. It could be at the end. You know what? You're right, guys. It isn't about the blood of the Skywalkers, but the Skywalkers should deliver the message at least.
Yeah, but it's not even that the Skywalkers necessarily. It's a betrayal of character, right? Like, for instance, what they have in the first film, right? They have Leia and Han got a space divorce, right? Like that absolutely, Leia and Han should get a space divorce. Those two characters, there are no way that they are going to functionally operate in the same space. They're getting a space divorce, right? But then what they do is they do what they did the whole film, where they had an interesting idea to begin with, and then they softballed it or lost it or dropped it or they fumbled every single ball they got in the whole thing. So they get Leia and Han, right? And Leia and Han finally have to get on the ships, right? And they have to go off to do their adventures, go their separate ways. And they have a moment where they sit there and they talk and they work out all their differences, and then they go and they get on the ships. And I was like, what? Like, there's no tension. There's nothing to the characters. Imagine this. Imagine if Leia and Han, like their first 2 scenes, they had fights their whole way through. And in this final scene, they get to blame each other for whose fault it is that their son went bad, right? And they get to go back and forth at each other, really yell, really start to hash it out. And then it's time for the mission. Chewie yells, I got to go get on the ship. And they go get on the ship, and Han turns around and he goes, Leia. And Leia turns and looks at him and goes, I know.
And then
the audience would have been like, yes, because that would have paid back to the series, and it would have paid the characters off. Nobody paid off the characters. The whole first thing is, what happened to Luke, right? What happened to Luke? Then we go to the second film, and Luke's on an island and he's pissed off, but we don't really know why. He can see good in his father who literally committed genocide, but his nephew has a couple of bad dreams, and that guy is getting a lightsaber to the noggin. That makes zero character sense in any world. And then at the end of it, Luke's massive. Luke Skywalker is the chosen one. He's actually one who brings balance to the Force. His way of bringing balance to the Force is to have a massive dump in the middle of nowhere and then disappear. He's poof. It was the most anticlimactic ridiculousness.
Okay.
Just nope. Just nope.
Okay.
Can't accept the statements made here at all.
This is,
Hold on, but I'm stuck on.
That's why this is going.
I am, however, still stuck on space divorce. I just want to try, like, how is space divorce different from Earth divorce? It's just like,
oh no, it's just
it doesn't carry the same weight.
It's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. I don't think they'd call it space. I don't think they call it divorce, but it happens in space, so it's obviously a space divorce.
Okay, so a couple things here. So the first of the new trilogy, right? I liked about 3/4 of it, right? I liked the first half of it. I thought it was amazing. So it turns out that the first half of it and the second half of it were supposed to be two different films. It was supposed to move a lot slower. They got who did they get to write it? The guy who did
Toy Story 4 or Toy Story 3.
Well, wasn't it?
I have the entire compendium of human knowledge in my.
I know. It's Little Miss Sunshine, the writer of Little Miss Sunshine, I think, right? Make sure I'm right about that.
Yeah.
But so he wrote this great script, and then they decided, in their infinite wisdom, we're going to take the first half of the script, throw out the second half of the script, and bring in everything we wanted to do in the second movie and squish these two movies together, right? Which is why it feels a little like weird to me. Like, you know, like it's why it's got that feeling. The second thing, I mean, you know, with Han, I mean, you know, like I just felt everything was rushed with him. Like I felt like he was meant to have been there for two movies, and then everything was squished into one movie with him. You know, it's like you know, I didn't really care as much about him as I wanted to care about him. I deeply wanted to care about him and about his storyline, but it was very fast.
Sorry, Peter, which character was that?
Han Solo.
Han Solo. Okay.
Yeah. Now the third movie is really interesting because the third movie, apparently, if they were able to do what they wanted to do with Leia, was supposed to have been amazing.
Yeah.
They had this wonderful storyline. I don't even know what it is. We should find out what it is. We should read it. You know, because I've heard it's a great script and it was better than what they did. But of course,
mishandled Leia.
But of
course,
there's
that
Michael Arndt. Is that who you're referring to?
Yeah.
Michael Arndt.
I think so. Yeah.
There's a fairly persistent rumor going around that the third movie, the version that was released, was an unsanctioned cut from the director. That the studio stepped in, completely rearranged everything despite all of his objections, then released it without his approval.
Oh, interesting.
But like I said, unsubstantiated rumor. The J.J. Abrams cut is supposed to be very different with a lot more Leia, and it's supposed to make a lot more sense.
Interesting.
But,
well, I mean,
again, I'm spreading rumor by saying this.
There was a whole different screenplay. They wanted to do something totally different with her, but she passed away. You know, so apparently she was a huge part of the storyline in the third one, and it was about her coming into the Force, you know, as well. So
that would make sense. Especially since she's like got no Force powers, can't commit to anything, and then suddenly can survive the vacuum of space and pull herself into a ship with.
Well, just because she didn't use them in the first part of the first movie doesn't mean she didn't have them. Like, a great Jedi Master isn't throwing lightning bolts everywhere they go around.
No, but it'd be nice to see a little foreshadowing. Like,
I think that would have blown the entire reveal.
We're gonna have to move.
Wait.
Lost their goddamn minds when she.
What did the prophecy say exactly? I mean, like Luke was supposed to bring the balance to the Force,
yes.
Or was it?
Anakin was supposed to bring. Yeah, Skywalker was supposed to bring balance to the Force.
So it probably was supposed to have been Leia.
Oh, that would have been nice.
That would have been really cool. You think it's going to be Luke, it winds up being Leia. That would have been really, really interesting.
That would be neat. Yeah. But I mean,
all right, we could talk about Star
Wars all day long. Yeah. Yeah.
What?
We might have our GeeksOn tangent show where I go off and I
All right, we
I
should
will maybe
we should move on to our topic for sure.
Well, it's Geeks on Other Worlds, so we're already in Other Worlds.
All right. You know, we are all.
Matt, give us a breakdown on what the mission statement is for this episode.
The mission statement for this episode is Geeks on Other Worlds, things that get you out of your head, out of your house, into another world, so you can forget that you're
Trapped in your living room.
locked in your living room. Yeah, pretty much. You know, you can forget doing push-ups on the couch for a little bit and go elsewhere. So far, what do we got? We got.
Well, this is happening at sort of the right time, entertainment-wise.
Yeah.
You know, we're definitely in peak television right now.
peak
with
geek,
some of the
peak
best
geek.
Peak
Yeah.
geek, 100% peak,
Yeah.
peak geek. Like, I can't actually keep up with the sheer volume of geekery coming out on
Yes.
Netflix alone, much less all platforms.
Yes. Speaking of which, what was the steampunk one? That was not Carnival Row. Carnival Row, is that what it is?
No.
Is that the one?
Carnival Row is the Victorian Ferries one.
Yes, that's a, yeah, that was that one.
That's not
No.
steampunk though. That's fairy punk or fairy. I don't know.
It's under the heading. It's magic and Victorian
Victorian
science
fantasy.
fiction. Yeah, Victorian. If it's Victorian and it's science
There's
fiction,
sci-fi. It's all fantasy.
it's
There is nothing
It's
technological. Over
Fantasy alternate history.
yeah,
it. Okay.
yeah. If
Which-
there's a
which
blimp
steampunk
in it, usually
Broadly,
steampunk.
steampunk could fall under that too.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
steam. It's got steam in it. Steam technology. You know.
Steampunk falls under
Doesn't-
the fantasy
Steam-
umbrella.
Fantasy
Okay,
umbrella,
who's
right?
starting-
Like.
Who's starting first?
Yeah, H.P. Lovecraft. It doesn't have very much steam in it, but it's very much steampunk. Should we do some news? What should we do?
I think we should go to the topic.
Okay, well, straight in. All right.
I think we need to get into it.
All
I'm
right.
curious to see what
The
you guys think.
timekeeper. The
All right.
timekeeper. is,
Geeks on Out of This World. All right. So what do we got? We got the best games, the best books, the best movies, the
We didn't
best
introduce
remote
ourselves.
activities. Oh, people.
We never actually introduced ourselves.
Doesn't everybody
Someone
know
wondered,
us?
Who the hell are these people?
All right,
We should
let's do
probably
it.
put that in.
We-
So before we go into our main topic, we are the Geeks.
we are. Aaron, you start. You're top left.
My name is Aaron Hendricks, and I'm a graphic designer here in Los Angeles, and I'm a big geek.
My name is Matt King. I am an actor, writer, director here in Los Angeles, and I'm a geek. Donnie.
My name is Don Marshall. I am a former video game professional and now a film development person in sunny Hollywood, and I too am a geek.
And I'm Peter Gamble, and I'm a screenwriter out here in Los Angeles, and I am a geek.
I'll just lift this and put it at the front.
Yeah, that's probably
No, I won't. Totally not do that at all.
Just copy it. Just
Yes.
copy and paste it.
Do it.
People.
Do it twice.
It's
and I'll
like
go, "Why did-"
that the thing where you take that exciting clip at the end of the show. It plays
Yeah.
at the beginning of
That'll
the
just be our
episode.
trailer.
Everyone's wondering, how did they get there?
Mm-hmm. All righty.
So
So-
how are you currently escaping from what's going on in your world?
Well, can I say that I didn't jump on this show right away just because of work and all that. So everybody has probably seen this, but I put this up on my favorite show of the year easily, and that is the Watchmen.
Oh, was great. This
Oh,
was so good.
Joy, that was so good.
Their pilot episode, was one of the most incredible things.
It was great. Here's a little, just got a little slideshow. But any of you who has not seen this, it really is great writing. It's only one season, and that's it.
Yeah, standalone.
And the
Oh, really?
writers have said that they're not going to do another season because they don't know how to do one as good as what they came up with. You know,
Huh.
Well,
they're like, we're not going to compete with something.
I
that we think is pretty good.
100% respect that. Like, we need more people who can say, like, this is a miniseries, and not go, okay, it's the 3-episode miniseries, and now it's a backdoor pilot to a longer series
Huh.
called The Dome that no one asked for and no one wants.
I
I'm
felt
sorry,
that
did
way.
I just...
I felt
But-
that way about Plan 8. I think it was called Plan 8. About sort of it's superheroes who are treated like minorities, and and basically discriminated against Thompson.
Code 8.
Code 8. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
So this is a great show. I will tell you, I came late to this, and my friend told me, she goes, I envy you. I envy you the chance that you get to watch this for the first time. It's an amazing first time experience. It starts off, I will tell you, the pilot, I was not all that into it.
Oh, really?
I was like, it's good, and by about the third episode, you go, oh shit, this is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those, at first you think it's going to be like Lost, where you're just like, it's just weirdness, because you're literally like, what the hell are
The
these
sky
folks
opens up
doing?
and starts raining squid, and no one seems especially alarmed about it in the
Yeah.
first episode. And stuff like that, but it all makes sense by the end.
How good is Jeremy Irons, man?
He's so
He's
good.
great.
The whole
He's
show
always
is
good.
exquisite.
It really, all
He
the
will always
answers
be that
are,
Dungeons and Dragons guy to me.
all the answers are at the end. The little weird things that you just think they're just throwing in there just to get weird, all makes sense. There's one episode that is edited so well. It's kind of like a flashback episode, but the way they do it is
So
incredible. Anyway, it's like 10 episodes, and everybody should watch it. If you haven't seen it, it's on HBO.
Now, I think that this stands alone. I do
Isn't
think it
HBO
stands
free
alone.
now?
No.
No? Still got to pay?
I think it stands alone, but I do think it's very enhanced by having read the original comic graphic novel that it's based on. I think it's enhanced a lot by that.
Yeah,
Less so by the earlier movie that they made.
You can get away with watching the movie and seeing it if you're not going to read it. If you're not going to read the comic book, then you can watch the movie, and it will also make more sense. But
Okay, so are they? So, question, because I've only seen the first 3 episodes. Are they tangential to the comic book, or are they tangential to the movie? They're coming off of the comic.
They're coming off the comic.
So they're not using Dr. Manhattan as the big boogeyman at the end of it. It's still aliens.
Literally, it's the alien thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
so if you watch the movie, you just replace Dr. Manhattan with giant alien and
giant alien.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm still confused as to why Ozymandias is like in prison in a way, and
you'll see
like that. Okay.
You'll see. Anyway, that's my TV pick. I did also kind of a runner-up was The Boys.
Oh, I was going to say that. Yeah, good.
Do not watch this with your kids.
Dude, no.
I'll watch this with your kids.
Dude,
this is
no.
Not,
Don't
this
read
is
the
not-
comic with your kids. Don't put the comic where they can find it. It's what would we say? I'd say mid-teens. I'd say you got to be at least 16, 17 before this thing is like.
It's very adult.
Yeah. I mean,
it sort of asks the question, if superheroes really existed, and they were way more like like NBA athletes.
Yeah.
If not all of them had Pa Kent to show them the way.
What would being a superhero be like? And it's a dark, disturbing world.
What's the guy who's the Aquaman of their universe?
Yep.
Fathom? No, the depth.
Fathom.
Yeah. The deep.
Yes.
I love what they did with that character. So they took the character who they made, and in the comic, it's Homelander who's abhorrent, and he basically,
Red alert.
sexually abuses the new girl on the first day of her job, right? And then you just know Homelander's the bad guy. Spoilers for the boys. But in this one, they did it to the deep, right? So the deep is about, and then they proceed to just do every awful thing they possibly can to him because they know they can, because they've started it off with this. And I thought that was such a great.
I think at the end, I actually felt bad for feeling a little bad for him.
Oh, it was.
You develop some empathy for this.
You totally develop empathy for him. Like the dolphin moment. I was like, oh.
It's good writing again that they don't just make boogeymen just straight boogeymen. I mean, these are awful people. Like the entire
no one's awesome. No one's awesome.
So that actually brings up a point. There has been a rise since the last time we did a GeeksOn of really good writing in the geek space, and really, really interesting geek television in the geek space. I mean, I felt like when we left, we basically had the MCU on the rise, and we had Battlestar Galactica and maybe one or two others in the background where you could be a little contentious. You're like, no, I think, you know, I think Deep Space Nine is fantastic. Well, but now there's just a ubiquity of content that's really good
in
that's
every
really,
sector. I mean,
yeah.
to continue Aaron's idea of like wonderful geek stuff that sounds like you could watch with your kids, but you shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
The DC Universe's Harley Quinn cartoon.
Interesting.
This is hands down the funniest, most sort of raunchy but smart cartoon I've seen since Batman Adventures. And
Which one is this called? What is this one
it's the
called?
Harley Quinn DC Universe cartoon.
All right, I'll
Do not watch this with your children. But I was not 100% expecting to like it when I went in, especially since DC Universe, their portal hasn't provided amazing offerings yet. With one exception, while I'm poking around the DC Universe TV stuff, Doom Patrol, the Doom Patrol TV series, so worth checking out.
Really?
Oh,
all right. Okay, I'm gonna do this for you because I literally went, no way. I read because
you must get through the first episode.
Okay, because that's what I auditioned for. I auditioned for
Yeah.
the Doom Patrol, and I literally went in and went, really?
Okay, because the end of that first episode, if I recall correctly, like a donkey farts and like a new universe is made or something like that. And that was one of the most off-putting moments of the thing. But to give you an example of like a spoiler from a later episode,
Red alert.
You get to go through the origin episode of a supervillain who is a rat, who has been, his entire life has just been roughshod by these other characters who never even noticed the things they were doing to him. And it's a beautiful little story, and I love what they did with it. And by the end of it, you're genuinely feeling some things for some of these characters, despite the fact that the world is just, they kept a lot of the surrealism from the comic book it was based on. And I hate surrealism. I hate it. But I enjoyed this immensely. So give it a shot. That's all I can recommend.
All right. I'm going to give a shout out. Oh, go. You go. I'll do mine in a second.
Can I talk about a show that I don't know why I like this show, but I like the show, The Magicians. It's like a guilty pleasure.
You are not alone.
You're not alone.
A very strong following.
I went through all of it. That is my workout show. I put that show on, and then I go do push-ups while that show is going on.
Yeah. So there's something about the show. I can't say it's a good show. I can't say it's a great show. And yet I find myself addicted to it. I can't look away from it. But there is one episode in it that broke my heart.
Which one?
It's the episode where
Red alert.
Spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
Aaron, I need you to build me something that can flash on the screen that says spoiler.
Two of the main characters wind up having to try and save the world. And in order to do it, they wind up being trapped. And basically, we see a whole lifetime of them growing old together.
Yes.
Their whole life growing old, doing this one task that takes their whole life in order to save the world. And by doing this task, they save the world, and everything that they've lived just disappears. All these profound experiences that we've seen that have really moved us all just disappear, and it's amazing. So
that's amazing. Is that they? I mean, not to put too fine a point on it, but what was lovely was that Quentin Coldwater, the main character, has been revealed up to that point as having had like one or two bisexual experiences, but primarily he's been a straight guy who's been chasing after Alice. And in that episode, he slowly falls in love with Elliot, and it's beautiful, and it makes complete sense. And by the end of it, their life together is so wonderful. And then in a future episode, they pay it off. And that I thought that was one of the greatest things. They really, They said, okay, here's this thing that happened to us, and only we two know about it and can connect and can really understand that we spent 60 years together. And it was, yeah, that's true. That was a really, really touching episode.
All right, you were going to pitch something.
I wanted to. I'm totally ridiculous. I'm going to give a plug to Love, Death, and Robots back here. Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix.
Wait a second, hold on 1 second. Isn't someone we know in this?
Yes.
Someone we know who was in that. Who was that?
I'm trying to remember. Like,
who has two thumbs
sort of
and is in Love, Death, and Robots? Yeah, it is the one thing I've done where I have zero complaints about anything that I've done. My whole imposter syndrome does not come up when I'm watching it. I loved it. I loved all the choices that the director made.
It's a wonderful piece. It's a wonderful piece.
I was in The Witness and Good Hunting. Alberto Mielgo, who directed The Witness, is singularly my favorite director outside of Brad Bird that I've ever worked with. And he's just his choices for how he does his shots. He also did the storyboards and a lot of the beginning work for Into the Spider-Verse. So a lot of the beautiful things of Into the Spider-Verse and how those shots were chosen are all Alberto Mielgo. He's a genius. If you ever get to look at any of his work apart from Love, Death, and Robots, it's astounding. And then Tim Miller and the Blur team did my other episode, Good Hunting, as an ode to really somewhere in between anime, Full Metal Alchemist anime, and what is it? Miyazaki stuff, and it's really beautiful. And then there's Sunny's Edge. There's so many different wonderful episodes.
That's the thing with
Twilight
this piece. It's in a collection of multiple shorts.
Yeah.
That have a spectrum of themes and feels, from comedy to really hard sci-fi.
Yeah.
There's an episode in there about 3 robots touring the ruins of human civilization. Yeah. That is one of the funniest things that I've seen in a long time. It's wonderful. It's so much fun. But for me, the one that took the cake was the one on the farm.
That's interesting.
So they're trying to. I loved the characters. I loved the portrayal of the normal that you expect, sort of transposed into future sci-fi.
Right.
And I found it really satisfying and enjoyable.
Yeah.
Some really good stuff there.
You can watch it in chunks too. You don't have to sit down and watch.
No, it's 12. I mean, the most episodes are 14 minutes at most.
Yeah.
And you can really sort of go through and see anything.
I want to mention a show that I wasn't thinking about. And I'm not recommending it for now, but I'm bringing it up because this show was still on the freaking air when we were last doing this podcast.
Okay.
The show Supernatural is in its last season now.
Yeah.
Their last few episodes. And back at the time, I just started watching it right when we did our last few episodes, and I was recommending it to people. I'm not blown away by anything they've done since then, but there's enough momentum in the show to carry you through to the conclusion.
Sure.
So if you want something that is sort of epic scope that'll keep going for a long time, that can keep you on the treadmill for days, not hours, try that one out.
How many years?
17, right?
I want to say 14. I want to say 14, 15. I don't remember. But yeah, it's a long run. And I just figured out with my roommate the other day. We figured out it was a contemporary of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
What?
They were on at the same time.
What? Oh, they overlapped, or
they overlapped.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Goodness.
I have a question for you, since this will kind of tie what we're talking about together, Star Wars and TV, The Mandalorian. What do you
Okay.
guys think?
I really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it.
I really enjoy. I feel so. I'm thinking of doing another show, a sort of Geeks on offshoot about sort of the rules that make up universes and why something, if it follows the rules, is good in that universe or bad or whatever. And I felt like The Mandalorian followed the rules of Star Wars, and it really followed the rules of Star Wars, and therefore it hit all of the big check marks. And
Kind
it
of
was
boring.
really.
I mean, it's like, it's like, there's this like big event that happens, and then it's like, but go kill a lizard first. I'm like, why do I have to watch an entire episode about killing a lizard that has nothing to do with anything?
Because it's Lone Wolf and Cub. Because they're paying obedience to Lone Wolf and Cub.
It is the space version of Lone Wolf and Cub.
Yeah,
100.
by way of Sergio Leone.
Now, some people don't know what Lone Wolf and Cub is. So, Matt, will you pitch what Lone Wolf and Cub is?
Lone Wolf and Cub is the greatest assassin for the Shogun, has done his job too well. And basically the Shogun is now in power, and he realizes the only man who has any chance of harming his power is this lone assassin. And so he sends a guy to go kill him, and he kills his wife, and the guy manages to survive. But now he's a lone assassin who's immensely powerful, but he's got a 1-year-old baby. And he has this wonderful moment, which I think is one of the most beautiful moments on screen, where basically he puts down, and this is a typical choice in Asian families, where you go and what's the kid going to choose? You let the kid crawl towards an item, right? Is it going to be a pen because they're a writer, or a ball because they're going to be in sports, or whatever it is? And if the kid crawls towards it, then that's what they're going to be. And so what does he do? He impales a sword into the ground, and then he puts a ball in the sword, and I think that's it. And it's like, if he goes for the ball, the kid gets decapitated, and he literally just brings up the sword, and it just gets higher and higher, and the kid sort of slowly goes to the ball and then chooses the sword. And then basically it's a father and son off on the run away from the Shogun. It's what, if you want to go back in time and do this, do it, because it's a great set of, it has that trope of Japanese filmmaking of the excessive amount of arterial blood. That's right. Just the best. I mean, nobody gets killed and just falls over. It's always kill.
Right. The hose, the blood hose.
But it's the juxtaposition. It's a juxtaposition of extreme violence.
Yes.
Against the beauty and the simplicity of what this little kid sees through his eyes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it'll have this moment where the kid will go to the edge of a stream, and he'll bend down and he'll play with the frogs, and you'll be in this just, real simplicity connection. And then a moment later, like, ninjas will show up and his dad will be chopping heads off. And,
yeah.
Not the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But
none of this is in the Mandalorian.
But the same concept of a child.
It was a bad lizard episode. There was no need for it.
Okay. Now, yes, I will say that it's not nearly as good.
Or Save the Village episode. What does it have anything to do with the story?
It's Seven Samurai.
I disagree with you on that one. It's an interesting. Well, no, because it's the concept of home.
Yeah.
And can he leave the child behind and give it a home?
It's a Seven Samurai episode.
It's fine. I mean, it's not awful. It's just not great.
Not great. It's not horrible. But the episodes are short, and it's like the perfect thing to watch.
I've never recommended it. I would never say you guys got to watch this show. I'd say, yeah, I watched the show.
I would say you have to watch the show so you can check off that you've seen it.
The nerd box.
In future episode, right? we need the ability to put a thumbs up on everybody's screen, and like
you can actually, by the way.
All right, who's next?
Oh.
Why am I hitting?
I've got something.
Go, then it's you.
There's a thumbs up for you.
This is just to get other people to do things, because I think everyone should contribute to something. So where you'll be seeing this is a GeeksOn podcast YouTube channel. I've been posting some build videos of some nerdy things that I've been building, and I've got more to come.
Like kind of okay, Aaron, you've done this to me for years, where you're like, oh, I'm doing a thing. Everybody has a friend in their relationship who's doing the thing, but you're a very special case because you're like, I made a thing. What'd you make? 12-foot wings. Wait,
Well,
what?
yeah, so-
Hang on. Like, so, and there's on an articulated motor, and they just go, I was working on it and I saw how to work it with 2 motors, and then I saw somebody else. They had already done it with 1 motor, but I was working like, what? But
if you haven't seen Aaron's stuff, it's very worth going to check out.
Were you working off a YouTube video? No, I just figured it out.
Well,
Aaron's the guy that's going to invent the real life lightsaber. He's going to do real wings, real Daedalus and Aeschylus wings that can fly. Like he's like, yeah.
Well, that's actually why we're friends, because we were at my friend Mike's wedding, and Aaron made him Obi-Wan's lightsaber handle out of plumbing parts, and it was like movie prop straight up and down. And I was like, hang on, who are you? Matt King, nice to meet you. It was like, really?
Well, so I've been one of the projects was motorized articulated 14-foot cosplay wings.
Sorry, 14-foot.
There's a whole build video for that, 2 build videos. And but some of the other things that's coming up, it's going to take a couple months to put the videos together. But here, I'm going to share this screen now. I built what I'm working on now while I'm stuck in here. This is the beginning of you guys see this?
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. This is a 80s arcade machine that I'm building.
Ooh.
You can see, I just went to the store, I had wood delivered.
Oh no.
So you can see, I'm just slowly building this thing.
Dude,
that
the
so
4
cool.
button.
But that
8 buttons, 9 buttons.
There'll be 8 buttons, and that's the joystick.
Dude.
And there's a roller ball.
There's a roller ball.
Dude.
And this is me wiring it.
Oh my god.
But
So
before I did that, the big thing was I built a virtual pinball table, and I also recorded the build of this, but you can just see briefly.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, dude.
Nice.
That looks killer.
Mm-hmm.
Dude.
And that, of course, up above is an LED screen. So whatever pinball thing you want to play, it switches to.
So the artwork, yes, the artwork
beautiful.
switches on the top and the
God.
backboard.
How do you get the games? Do you have to pay for them, download them? How does it work?
So glad I'm your
Well,
friend.
some of them, there's a Pinball FX 3, which you can download on your Xbox and PC. They've got a lot of games, and those are on there. But the rest are all fan built. The fans have scanned in and recreated all the old classic pinball tables from the 40s up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have about 400 different tables on this that you can just select through a menu and play pinball from. I have some stuff even from the 40s on there where they don't have flippers. You're literally just launching the ball and trying to get them into holes.
Every pinball game I could remember that I looked for was on there. You know, like it blew my mind.
It took a lot of work, but I really encourage people to just go and do these type of things because they seem impossible. Like articulated cosplay wings, pinball machines, all this stuff. I don't know how to do any of it.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah.
And so it's literally
now.
Third podcast ever. Because that was an Aaron idea too.
But again, it's just going online and finding people to help you out. And so I'm going to post how. I mean, I won't be able to teach you how to do this, but hopefully these build videos will just encourage you to do the same type of thing. So I'm going to keep posting build videos on
Absolutely
on stream, along with these, and I've got all those to do. I've got all these smaller, little weird, nerdy projects.
Have you got any comments asking you to do weirder builds?
Not yet.
Because I want, like, I mean, you know, like a weird build at this point, because you've done wings. Okay.
I'm thinking about, I've been really eyeing, and I'm not sure I'm going to do this, like a full-sized R2-D2 with lights and sound and like a perfect recreation.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know if it would fit my house.
I love that stuff. I've been to a friend of mine runs the Doctor Who convention Gallifrey, right? I've been there a couple times now, and the costumes that people come up with there are amazing. But there's this dude who goes every year, and he makes a new Dalek suit to ride around in during the convention. First time I went, he had made a World War II Dalek. Would look like a British soldier uniform on the Dalek and everything. This is the second time I went, he had made a tiki Dalek out of tiki torches and wicker and all that stuff, and he drove around with a little tray with daiquiris on there, pina coladas. It was amazing. I love that stuff when people can do that. Like,
well, I encourage everybody to do that, and then help people online, post pictures, post videos, or just get on the forums and help people out, because you know, the more of us that are all contributing to the internet and with this type of stuff, you know, the internet is just awesome.
Yeah.
And it's true. You might
overwhelm the bad news.
You might actually have the skill set to help someone get through a block.
Exactly.
You never know what skill set's going to be valuable in any one of these things. So.
Yeah, 100%. And if you guys want to have some fun, I would highly recommend going and watching a little show called Critical Role. Critical Role is DM'd by Matt Mercer, who's a voiceover actor supreme, and he got a bunch of voiceover actors together. And
former guests on the show too.
Former guests on the show, and they go, and every Thursday night for 3 hours they play D&D, and they've been doing it for years. And lo and behold, the critters have taken over the world, and now Matt went out and did a huge Kickstarter that raised him, I want to say $12 million, maybe 16, something like that, something crazy. But now he's going to have an animated show on Amazon. But you should go and watch their old episodes and everything. It is marvelous. He is singularly the best GM I've ever seen.
And towards that end, right now, during this quarantine, Dungeons and Dragons is having a new resurgence.
Huge resurgence.
Mm-hmm.
So I know like I actually play in like 3 different D&D games right now from my bedroom, over Zoom, over Google Hangouts.
Are there any things that you can do to make it a little more multimedia for those who want to do it? All right.
I have one of my games takes place on Discord.
Okay.
Where the game master can sync up his audio stream with his Spotify, so that anyone who has like Platinum, Spotify, whatever the subscription service is for Spotify, can sync up with their music, and he can play whatever music cues he wants.
That's cool.
That just broadcasts to everybody. You know, screen sharing. It's a great way of sharing maps and all that stuff. But the point is, right now, a lot of people are at home. You have access to online web stuff, and you might actually have the time and bandwidth to start trying out the Dungeons and Dragons game you always meant to and never seemed to actually find the way.
Yeah.
Now the way is just a click or two away from your camera. You just need to find the right group of people, and there are lots of services out there to help you do that.
And if you
remember,
have
there's other games besides Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, if you have children, I highly recommend. I 100% highly recommend any of the games by John Wick. If you have children who are 0, I would say, to basically a middling to advanced 6 to 7-year-old, then John Wick's games of My Monster, Cats, they're all great, and they're really, really run fast. He has a wonderful Harry Potter game that really works really well for kids, that you can get up and you can get going in seconds. If you have kids,
what was the spy one we played, Aaron? Was a Forest of Mirrors?
Wilderness of Mirrors.
Wilderness of Mirrors.
Wonderful.
Really fun.
And then if you have like 8 to 12, one of the real fun things to do is you don't even really end up playing the game because it takes too damn long to roll characters, but it's super fun, is the After the Bomb games by Palladium Books, where you can create and create a character that's an amalgam of an animal and a human, and sort of choosing what they are and everything like that. The kids have an absolute ball. I've whiled away 2 afternoons with my children playing the After the Bomb games, and it's totally worth it. So totally do that.
We could do an episode of like those like small indie role-playing games, or just alternative things to
that'd be a great idea.
Video games and big video games and big role-playing games, because there's some of the smaller ones are awesome.
100%.
I have a couple of books and audiobooks that will help you escape your world. So let me show you. Let's see. Anything by Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah, quite.
Okay. Brandon Sanderson is amazing. He's prolific. It's amazing the quality of stuff he spits out as quickly as he writes. He invents amazing worlds, amazing rules. He's the godfather of creating rules for a universe and then finding the most creative ways to exploit those rules that just, are delightful. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Here's someone.
Well, I love the thing that Brandon Sanderson does with magic, right? There's basically 2 different types of magic that you see in these types of books. There's either poetic magic, which is like Gandalf, right? Like whatever Gandalf wants to happen happens, right? It's just a light storm. It's poetic. But Brandon operates with a rule set, right? That's sort of kind of like Robert Jordan in his world. And Brandon Sanderson was the inheritor of Robert Jordan's series. But how interesting what the things that he does in the Mistborn series and then in the Way of Kings and like that. He just has rules for how magic works in his universe. And it's always fascinating to me, like what the sort of inner workings of how those rules work. The other one that I really like is what is it? Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss. That sort of all that same.
If he would only finish it.
If he would only finish,
there was an announcement recently that there is not an announcement. He literally announced that he doesn't know when the 3rd book is coming out. I'm like,
he's got the worst case of writer's block ever. And he's teaching writing to people. He needs to finish.
I got to hang out with him a little bit last year at Comic-Con, and he is not suffering from writer's block. He's got a lot of projects going on.
Yeah.
A lot of projects. So
okay, but where are any of them? It's been years.
Well, there are certain types of projects that can take years for them to come.
What was that?
Okay. All right.
Did you see the interview? This is something
you can't talk about it. Is the key?
No, it would be rude.
Okay. Well, great.
Have you seen the interview with George R.R. Martin and Stephen King?
Oh yeah.
It's so fantastic. Stephen King's interviewing George, and George basically and back and forth. And George says, "So how do you write?" And Stephen King, "Well, I get up at 10 in the morning and I make my eggs, and then I go and I make sure that I write 80,000 words, and then I put it down, and and he basically talks himself through. And he goes 80,000 words, so that's like it's like 15 pages. and Stephen King's like, yeah, that's what I do. He goes, how do you do that? And he says, well, the process of doing it. And he explains it out. And he goes, okay, so where do you leave time for the doubt and the self-loathing?
You got to schedule that in.
No, it's like, oh, that's so brilliant.
I don't think Stephen King has that.
No, I don't think so. He's
busy. I will also say that Brandon Sanderson is the guy who, when the author of Wheel of Time passed away, they needed to find someone. They scoured everywhere, and they brought Brandon Sanderson in to finish it, and he finishes the Wheel of Time series beautifully.
Yeah, beautifully.
Yeah, he brought it all up.
He brought a new life into it that was wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, a couple of other ones. If you guys have not heard of The Black Prison by Brent Weeks, this is a great series. It's at first you're going to go, oh, that sounds kind of weird, but it's a world where the magic powers that people have, that's called drafting, and they draft colors from light. And depending on the power that you can draft, you can use the color of light that you draft in very specific, special ways. So if you draft red, for example, red is a very flammable, explosive power, right? If you draft other powers, they have different things, but they also have emotional effects on people. However, if you draft too much of a color, you break the halo on your eye. As you draft the color fills up your irises, and if you break the halo, you get turned into something monstrous and horrific. So you have to be killed before that happens. It's a fantastic series. It's really interesting. He just finished it, and it's extremely well written. So highly recommend it.
Yeah, I'll pick it up.
Naomi Novik, she did the Temeraire, Her Majesty's Dragon series, which was pretty good. But she's been doing these new books recently that are really interesting, based off of fairy tales, and going into these fairy tales in a really dark, realistic way. And they're really interesting with strong female characters.
I've always enjoyed that.
Really, really interesting writing. The Warded Man by Peter Brett. Now, this is a series. It's a great series. It takes place in a universe where demons exist, and every night in the darkness, the demons rise from the ground, and they're everywhere, and the humans cower behind these wards that they leave up around their houses. But if those wards are damaged at all, or if they're in the wrong place or not perfectly written, the demons will eventually break through and murder everyone. And in this world, there's this one kid who decides that he's going to start to tattoo these wards on his own skin so he can go out into the darkness. And it's really interesting and dark
Fun.
and well written, right? Red Rising by Pierce Brown.
Great books.
Yeah, really great books. So this is a world where everyone has been genetically engineered to be specialists in something. And and they're all ruled by the people, and depending on your genetic engineering, you're a different color, literally a different color, which is how you know what caste you're in. And the golds rule everyone, and everyone else has to stay in their place, and they're ruled over. And this is a story about someone who's a red, who's a miner, who's trapped underground, and who decides to start a rebellion. And it's really, maybe I'm pushing a little bit, it's really well done. And the last thing I want to talk about is, this is a time when you can basically burn through a lot of audiobooks because we're all trapped at home. You could read a lot of books. You could go through a lot of audiobooks. A fantastic app is Libby, which will allow you to basically download books from your library using your library card. So rather than burn up money on Audible, which there's nothing wrong with that either, but if you run through your Audible account, you need to get some other stuff, you can hop on Libby and you can download audiobooks as well and listen to them from there. So
Fantastic.
All right, and that's everything I've got.
Great.
Well, speaking of audiobooks, one of the things that I'm loving about the quarantine time is artists are having some time to actually put together little gifts for the audiences out there. So speaking of audiobooks, Daniel Radcliffe has been reading the Harry Potter books for anybody who wants to just hear them. What's his name? Witcher Boy. Superman / Witcher Boy.
Cavill.
Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill has been reading the Witcher books for people to enjoy. Neil Gaiman has been putting out shorts on YouTube set in the Good Omens universe and the Doctor Who universe for people to enjoy, using actors from those series to come back and give little gifts to their fans during a rough time. So there are little tidbits out there right now of just real light and joy that people are putting out into the world for each other.
Andy Serkis is reading The Hobbit, which is wonderful as well.
Oh, nifty! I hadn't heard about that one.
Yeah, Andy Serkis is doing the whole of The Hobbit, which is just come on now.
Yeah,
it's great. And I think he did it as a way to raise money for charity. So if you go and you listen to it, it also does great stuff for people who are hurting right now. So it's a good thing. What else we got?
Anything else to run out?
That's all I got.
That's all you got?
Okay, so it's not incredibly geeky, but it's an addiction of mine right now. I picked up Letterkenny on Hulu, and I can't stop. I just can't stop.
What is Letterkenny?
So it's a Canadian sitcom. It's got 7 episodes per season. There are 8 seasons. The only way I can describe the writing, and someone out there is going to make fun of me for this, it is patter speak through a Canadian lens. That's sort of Joss Whedon fused with Aaron Sorkin with fart humor. It's hard, but really intelligent behind that. So it's smartness with all sorts of fart crap laid on top of it, done with an extremely stylized stage writing. It's the best adaptation of stage I've ever seen, and it was never on the stage. So,
What's it called again?
it's called Letterkenny,
Mhm.
and I am
How do you spell that?
letter, like sending a letter. Kenny, like the name Kenny.
Oh, Kenny.
Right.
All one word.
Yeah. The last thing I got is that the National Theatre of England is offering wonderful things right now, where you can go, you can subscribe to them, and you can watch their live productions. Benedict Cumberbatch, the man whose name, no matter how much you botch it, it's everybody knows who you're talking about, is just done Frankenstein, and he did it with, oh, I lost his name.
The guy from Elementary.
The guy from Elementary who plays Sherlock in Elementary. So it's Sherlock
Something
and Sherlock.
Tommy.
Yes. But they're doing Frankenstein, and it's so wonderful, and it's a full blown out production.
I have beaten death. I made a living thing.
Benedict Cumberbatch and Johnny Lee Miller in this electrifying stage production.
I will not rest until I desolate your hearts.
Frankenstein, directed by Danny Boyle.
Do you know the
And
twist?
What's the twist?
So you can go watch it with Benedict Cumberbatch as Frankenstein, or you can watch what they did the other night with Benedict Cumberbatch as the monster.
Oh,
Switch roles, and you can watch either way.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat.
I did not.
And
I only watched it once.
They're not the only ones doing that either. If you're a musical theater guy, Andrew Lloyd Webber has released a lot of his old things on YouTube. Full stage productions that were filmed and put up there.
Can we please get together, all four of us, and just watch Cats? Because I haven't seen it, but I've heard so much, and I really.
The best review, the worst thing to happen to cats since dogs.
I watched it with my dad at the time, and watching my dad really enjoy it was very pleasurable.
Oh,
that
All
was the pleasurable thing.
oh.
We should wrap this. I'm the timekeeper, and it's.
Okay.
Getting late.
I got a little game. If you guys are into a little game, I don't know whether we want to finish it out, but if you guys want.
Please, Darren.
All right.
Finish.
All right, hang on. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to bring up my game, and we're going to go from there. So the categories are: You're a Wizard, Harry; Gates and Gatekeepers; Crisis in Infinite Comics; Who Are You? And Alternate Histories. You're a Wizard, Harry are basically the lines from the various people who have brought people into other worlds. The Gates and Gatekeepers are the gates or the gatekeepers of those other worlds. The Crisis in Infinite Comics are other worlds as they came through the lens of comics. Who Are You is all about doppelgangers from other worlds, and Alternate Histories is alternate histories. Let's go in alphabetical order. Aaron, why don't you choose a category?
How about Gates and Gatekeepers?
4. These are all answered, by the way, in Jeopardy format.
100, please.
Jeopardy, Gates and Gatekeepers for 100. I'm late for a very important date. Please just yell your name if
Don.
Don, what is it?
The White Rabbit.
Jeopardy form, please.
Who is the White Rabbit? From Alice in Wonderland.
What is White Rabbit? Alice in Wonderland. Wonderful. Thank you, Don. Gets 100 points. There we are on the board.
Oh, very cool.
All right. Don, you have control of the board.
Oh, I think we have to go with Who Are You?
Who are you for?
100, please,
Which
Matt.
who are you for 100? This emotionless alien is notorious for his doppelganger
Aaron.
possessing an evil goatee. Aaron, yes.
Who is Mr. Spock?
Who is Mr. Spock? Aaron, you are on the board with 100 points.
I'm glad you're making some easy ones here.
It's 100. What else could it be? All right, Aaron, you have control of the board.
How about the alternate histories 100, please?
Alternate histories 100. In this 1986 alternate history, Night Owl and Rorschach investigate the death of the anti-hero, the comedian. Don.
What is The Watchman?
Is The Watchman. Don is on board, 200 points.
We've established we're basic geeks now.
Yeah, that's the 100 level. That actually was my 100.
We got to go deeper now. We got to go deeper. We'll go with alternate histories for 200, please, Matt.
Alternate histories 200. This Philip K. Dick masterpiece envisions a world where the Nazis won World War II.
Aaron.
Aaron.
What is Man in the High Castle?
What is Man in the High Castle? Aaron for, I got another 200 points there. Excellent. All right, Aaron, you have control of the board.
How about You're a Wizard, Harry 100?
You're a Wizard, Harry for 100. You are the one.
Peter.
You may have spent the last few years looking for me, but I have spent my entire life looking for you.
Who is Morpheus?
I'm going to assume it's Peter. All right.
While you were reading, like before you read it.
Sorry. Yes. Who are the person we're talking about? But yes, it was Morpheus. Who you're talking
Morpheus is the one who's saying this.
So. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You got it.
I gave my points to Aaron.
Did I? Oh, wait, no, Aaron. Wait, Aaron should have had 200. He got 101. No, he had 5. Yeah. Well, no, 1, 2. No, he should have 4. There we are. And Peter's on the board with 100. Oh. All right, Peter, you have control of the board.
Let's take You're a Wizard, Harry for 200.
You're a Wizard, Harry for 200. Watcher Merrick Jameson Smythe said this: I need to speak with you. There isn't much time. You must come with me. Your destiny awaits. Who's he speaking to? Don.
Who is Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Who is Buffy Summers, or who is Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Yes, Don for 200 points. Boom.
Woo.
I didn't know that one actually.
Oh, wait. Oh, I see. It just goes up by 1. Oh, that's nice. This program's awesome. It just does it. You just need to push plus. That's cool. All right, Don, you have control of the board.
Let's go big. Crisis in Infinite Comics for 500.
I'm sorry, there are no daily doubles on this board. There should be, but they're not. Crisis in Infinite Comics for 500. In this spin-off of the 2013 game, Superman seeks revenge against the Joker for the death of Lois Lane. Aaron.
What is in
5, 4, 3.
What is it?
Two,
I can't remember.
Done.
Done.
What is Injustice 2?
Yes, Injustice. Gods Among Us or Injustice 2. Yes. All right, Don, you've controlled the board.
Oh, I want to see Aaron suffer. Let's go with Crisis in Infinite Comics 2 for 400.
Crisis in Infinite Comics 400. In this alternate timeline, this JLA killed Lex Luthor and rules with an iron fist.
I don't know what to call that.
All right.
I just earned some mature.
Who are the Justice Lords? That's what yeah.
Oh, I was trying to think of like Earth 3 or something.
Yes. Don, you still have control.
Let's go with Who Are You for 500.
Who Are You for 500. J.K. Simmons plays a hapless UN employee that discovers that the agency he works for is hiding a gateway to a parallel dimension that's in a Cold War with our own, and where his other self is a top spy. Name the TV show.
Nope.
What is Counterparts?
Nope.
Oh.
I don't think I've heard of it.
Don, you still have control. That's why it's a 500 question.
Let's go with alternate histories for 500. We're gonna go through the 500s, boys. We're going big.
In this 1998 novel by S.M. Sterling, Nantucket is teleported back to the Bronze Age.
I have no idea, but I'm gonna read that.
Oh, you'd love it.
Wow, don't know
I
that
can't
one either.
remember. What is it called? It's fuck. I can't remember the name.
What is Island in the Sea of Time?
Okay,
It's great.
I'm looking that up.
It's wonderful. It is absolutely, Don, you would absolutely love it.
I remember you mentioning it once.
It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. When the liberals go off to South America to basically set up, because they're back in the Bronze Age, right? So they go to South America and they're like, we're going to set it up so that when the conquistadores come to South America and they come to take these civilizations, they're prepared, they're ready for them. So they, the Mayans and the Aztecs, they don't get raised. And so these well-intentioned liberals go to South America and they do that, and they forget that they are disease vectors and they kill everyone. It's awful. Anyway, moving on from there.
Don,
I
I want to read that right now. Gates
only
and
one small
Gatekeepers for 300. I am ashamed of our 500 performance.
This gatekeeper said this: you take the blue pill with Estonians. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. Peter.
Who is Morpheus?
Who is Morpheus in the Matrix? You are correct.
My answers are always the same on this.
Exactly. Just say that over and over again.
Keep bringing it up.
50 points. All right, Peter, you have control of the board.
Let's go with which are you for 300?
Who are you for 300? These two Wild Stallions members experienced two doppelgangers themselves trying to kill themselves throughout time. Done.
Who are Bill and Ted?
There we are. Who are Bill and Ted? You are correct. Don in lead with 1,200. Aaron still riding a negative 100. And Peter and 400. Don, you have control of the board.
All right, let's throw Aaron a bone with You're a Wizard, Harry, for 300.
Wizard Harry for 300. Mr. Tumnus said this: daughter of Eve from the far land of Spare where eternal summer reigns around the bright city of Wardrobe, how would it be if you come and had tea with me? Who was he speaking to?
Don. Who is Lucy?
Who is Lucy Pevensey? I didn't even realize her name until I read through it.
What is that from?
That's Lion, the Witch, in the Wardrobe.
Oh.
Yes, it's wonderful.
Yeah,
if you haven't read it to your kids, read it to your kids.
It's been a while, though.
All right, Don, you have control of the board.
Alternate histories for 300.
Alternate histories for 3. In this 1889 Mark Twain book, Hank Morgan journeys back in time to this fabled kingdom. Don.
Who is a Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's court?
What?
Oh,
this
damn it.
fabled kingdom. All right. It's Camelot.
That was close, though.
All right. I should have gone to somebody else, but Don, you still have control.
Gates and Gatekeepers for 200.
Gates and Gatekeepers for 200. This magical wind dropped Dorothy off in Oz. Peter.
What is the tornado?
What is a tornado? You are correct, Peter. All right. Peter, you have control of the board.
Crisis in Infinite Comics for 100, please.
Crisis in Infinite Comics for 100. This hero can run fast enough to go back in time.
Peter.
I think it was Don. Don, go ahead.
Who is the Flash?
Who is the Flash? You are correct.
We drowned him out. I didn't even hear him.
I know.
Let's stick with Crisis in Infinite Comics for 200, Mr.
Nice.
Matt.
All right. Spider-Pig and Spider-Gwen are two heroes from what 2018 movie? Aaron.
What is the Spider-Verse?
What is Into the Spider-Verse? You are correct. Aaron's back on the board with 100. Aaron, you have control of the board.
What is which Who Are You 200?
Which Who Are You for 200? This little girl found a next door doppelganger of her mother with buttons for eyes. Done.
Who is Coraline?
Who is Coraline?
I almost said, who is Coriolanus? I've been reading.
That would not be as good. Don, you have control.
Let's finish up Crisis in Infinite Comics for 300, Matt.
There we are. A cube-shaped planet with a population governed by the rules of the classically irritating children's game Opposite Day gave birth to this iconic supervillain. Don.
Who is Bizarro?
Who is Bizarro? Well done.
Let's finish up with Who Are You for 400.
Who Are You for 4. In this 2019 flop, Will Smith plays an over-the-hill hitman facing off against a younger clone of himself.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
What was it called?
None of us saw it. We were like, oh my God, we can't see it.
Don? Gemini?
Ooh.
Gemini Man.
What is Gemini?
Gemini Man. That's
Gemini Man.
Wait, you got to chime in. You got to say, somebody's got to chime in. Say your name.
What is Gemini Man? What is Gemini Man?
Peter. What is Gemini Man? There we are.
I saw that, huh?
Oh, God.
Peter, you have control aboard.
Gates and Gatekeeper for 400, please.
Gates and Gatekeeper for 4. This gatekeeper was in the spare room and was used to hold fur coats.
Done.
What
is the wardrobe?
What is the wardrobe? Well done. Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. All right, Don, you have control?
I believe in finishing off what's on your plate. Let's go with alternate histories for 400.
Alternate histories for 4. In this 2006, Susanna Clark paints the story of an alternate history where 2 English magicians use ancient magics to ensorcel the Raven King to fight Napoleon's armies and bring a young girl back from the dead.
And Don slowly leans back out of shot. Or would.
Shit. Oh God. It's like Mr. Norick and something, but I'm not gonna.
Yes. What is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell?
Okay.
Excellent. Don, you still have control.
Let's finish up Gates and Gatekeepers for 500.
Gates and Gatekeepers for 5. The name for the place that dreamwalkers can traverse in Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time series.
My God, I've got the wrong word in my head and I'm stuck with that. For God's sakes. Oh my God. Done.
Done. Oh.
Damn it. I was right. God damn it.
Sorry. Don, you still have
I had Sangreal stuck in my head and I couldn't get it out. Oh my God, that's embarrassing.
All this is going to prove is that we're not geeks and that we shouldn't be doing this podcast.
We're losing our entire fan base right now.
I think they're just, I love whoever's screaming at the screen right now. It's like, oh, come on, guys. Tell Enrio.
You're a Wizard Harry for 400.
You're a Wizard Harry for 4. It is determined, Poseidon, Earthshaker, Stormbringer, Father of Horses, hail, son of the sea god. Who are we talking about?
I can't remember what he was called.
This is from a series of books, right?
Yes.
And a movie.
Hold on. Peter.
Yeah. At the bell, go ahead.
Who is Percy Jackson?
Who is Percy Jackson? Well done, Mr. Peter. All right.
Last one.
You're Wizard Harry. Peter can actually win.
You can do it, Peter.
If you get this, Peter. All right, ready, set, and my friend Julia said that I couldn't run away hard enough. She's right. I run and I find secret doors, whether I'm alone or in a group. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm here. I'm in this amazing place. I have literal magic in my life, and I'm still running. I'm still a person that I fucking hate.
Peter.
Peter, yes.
Who is Quentin?
Who is Quentin Coldwater? Actually, oh, wonderful. That brings the whole episode around.
To the magicians again.
The magicians again. At the end.
I can't believe. Yeah.
Nice.
Peter Gamble Robinson.
Holy cow. I can't even believe that.
Thank you, Matt.
I'm terrible at this stuff, so
I'm terrible at this stuff. Pressure.
You took the big ones, so
yeah, that was good. All right, we'll bring it back to us.
All right, guys. We should wrap this thing up so we can actually upload it to YouTube.
Yes, we should.
Yeah, just a quick shout out to all of our wonderful fans who have been sticking out with our forums on Facebook for all these many years.
All these many years. Like they've
Uh,
been keeping us completely alive. There's
yeah.
been nothing. There's been a
Love
dearth
to
of
all
content.
of you, and thank you so much for reaching out to us during this time. And I hope just a quick little visit with us is something that might make you guys smile a bit.
You can go visit our 2003 era website and see our archives of all of our past episodes where we were completely childless and off color, and probably not Me Too'd at any point in time. So please don't hold it against us yet. It's still pretty good, I think.
More videos coming up.
Yes.
Matt's got some ideas. I've got some.
We're gonna figure stuff out. But if you want to get in touch with us, you can reach us through our Facebook at GeeksOn.
Yep.
On Facebook.
GeeksOn on Facebook, or
I think our email is dead right now.
Our email might still be dead, but otherwise it was geeks@geekson.com. We'll see whether or not we get that going.
Right.
But if you have ideas for things you'd like to hear us talk about, or things you'd like to suggest that we give a shout out to, put it up on our Facebook. We'll take a look at it and mock you mercilessly if it's something terrible.
Sounds great.
All right, guys. Thanks for trying this out. So
awesome.
Love it. Fun.
Thanks, guys. Everybody. Have a good night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Geeks. Rock it out.
Get out.
Thank you so much for watching Geeks On. If you want to see more content like this, please click below to like and subscribe.